Okay, so hello guys. I must quickly apologize for the internet mishap. This is not any of our faults. In fact, if it's anybody's fault, it's the noisy network providers in Ghana. In fact, all those who are doing adverts and screaming on radios and televisions and saying we have 4G, we have 3G, we have this, all of them are Babylon. All of them are Babylon. I used MTN, the supposed 4G champion. Quam. I use University of Ghana's Vodafone internet. Quam. I even bought Busy 4G, unlimited data, and also Babylon. So oh my God, it's unfortunate, but yeah, let's make do of what we have. Let's make the best of what we have, and then use this virtual reality to our advantage. Now, what you must know by now is that a lot of things are going to change. Classroom delivery, especially with your practical classes. The department is rolling out a lot of initiatives to help you continue to finish your semester very well. So things are going to change. You must be expectant. You must be ready to go along with this initiative. So what we're going to do right now is we're just going to go straight into the presentation. Yeah. So what we have here is let's see. Yes, this is you already know the course. You can see it, so I'm not going to mention it. Yeah, man. But first of all, let's you know, people are funny. If you listen to the news in Ghana right now, all the news from all the news agencies, people are just plain adamant. You don't want to listen to anything the government tells them for their own safety. It's absurd. So guys, I entreat you all to follow the directives of the president. Stay at home, be safe. If you have very stubborn people in your family, now all the unstubborn people, all the people who are not stubborn, gang up against this stubborn person or stubborn people, tie them to the tree outside your house. Make sure they don't go out. Tie them to their bed or something and feed them. Yes, the problem. If you look at the count, the way the thing is spreading, we have to pray. We have to pray for our nation. Pray for our frontline workers. Pray for our scientists. Some very fantastic news coming out of Noguchi Memorial Institute. Yeah, so yeah, let's pray. Yes, Lord Jesus, we thank you for this wonderful opportunity to learn. May your name be glorified above all names, Lord Father. As we come to learn, we pray that let this knowledge that comes nourish us and make us meaningful citizens to our nation, Ghana, to our race, and to our continent, to eternal glory. In the name of Jesus, we pray with thanksgiving. Amen. Yeah. So we have the quarantine recap edition. We just go straight to it. Now, we talked about modes. If you look at the course outline, we have the modes of inquiry and DANS research methods and all that. Now, I'm just going to brush, just going to talk about it briefly because we don't have much time. But this is just a refresher of all that you have studied over the weeks. Now, knowing you guys, even what we teach in class one day, the next day we come and you have forgotten. So these 3 weeks, in fact, I'm very sure you have forgotten everything. And this is not good, guys. Come on. Now, let's do the modes of inquiry. Mode of inquiry is it's a kind of a conduit to understanding. So if we're looking at ethnography as a mode of inquiry, it means we are using ethnography as a method of DANS research to understand movement systems, basically. Now, we talked briefly about, not briefly, we talked in depth about designing an ethnographic research project. That is designing a DANS research project. So mind you, this is DANS. So it's going to have different methods of acquiring data, different from sociology, different from any other similar fields in the humanities, but this is DANS, so don't forget that. So in designing an ethnographic research project, what comes to mind is what? What are you designing it for? You must come up with a kind of a reason that will lead you into conducting the research in the first place. In my experience, I've met students and I've had discussions with students who are interested in undertaking some kind of dance research. And the first thing you ask them is, guys, okay, people or lady, gentlemen, what are you going to research into? They say, oh, I'm going to look into the dance to understand it. I'm like, what don't you understand about the dance in the first place? So when they dance, I don't understand it. The movement, I don't understand it. I said, well, you are not an indigene of that place. You have not studied the dance form, so you don't expect to stand on the side or the periphery and then see somebody gyrating the waist and then automatically assume that the person is performing a sexually suggestive movement. Now that will be your opinion, but it may not necessarily be the meaning of the dance. So until you go into the dancers or the dance practitioners to ask them what it means, you cannot stand on the side and assume. Even that, what if you want to find the meaning of any dance? There are many entry points. You don't just stay at, oh, let's say they tell you, well, if you jump up and down, you can live for 10 years. This is what the dance means, and this is what we are doing. That is not enough. There are layers of truth. There's a possibility that the person giving you that answer right now the answer was given to him or her by his drunk uncle 30 years ago when he was a child, and he has kept that information without confirming with other people. And then unfortunately you go to meet him and then he tells you the same thing. That may not reflect the community meaning of what that movement or what that dance is. So go beyond what it means, because you must now start looking for a hole or looking for, let's say, an unfilled position within the dance scholarship to now bring your, let's say, your input or your data or your knowledge into that area to help it. So the next thing is where and who. You have to decide where you're going to do the dance research. But first of all, you need to understand who you are going to do the dance research on. So if, for example, we are looking at the 4 categories of traditional dancing in Ghana, we're looking at the traditional, professional, amateur, and academic. And then you decide who you're going to look into or which category you're going to look into. Obviously, that is going to dictate where you're going to do the research. So if you want to look at the traditional group's performance or performance ideals or research into that, obviously you're going to go out of your academic setting or your homes and go into the people to understand or to conduct whatever research you want to conduct. So that is also very important. Then you need to decide when, the time frame. This is very important, because you just can't just get up one day and say, well, I feel a calling to do research right now or tomorrow. Please, the first question is, who called you? You need to plan. Yes, you need to really plan, and then this can be part of the preliminary research thing that can get you into a better position to determine what you're going to look at. So, for example, if you are looking for a festival that is celebrated right now in Ghana, and you had already planned, let's say 2 months ago, or you didn't even plan, you just woke up last week and said that I'm going to conduct research. And then all of a sudden the president comes on and says everybody's movement in and out of Accra is blocked. Then what are you going to do? Now these are unforeseen circumstances that can affect research. And as a researcher, you must take that into consideration, so that when you're planning a research and it is absolutely inevitable to do that research, you must find plan B, plan C, and even plan D, if such natural occurrences happen and they hinder your research in the first place. So you must know when, if you're looking at festival dances, then obviously you're not going to find very good information when you go to look at the dance outside the festival. That is not in the time of a festival. So you then have to plan and wait for the time of the festival so that you can actually go and look at the dance within that context of a festival. Yes. Then we look at how you're going to gather that data. And in dance research, that they say dance is ephemeral. As it is performed, it is disappearing, because you cannot recall it back the same way it is done. As it is it is going, it is disappearing. Yeah. So you ask yourself, what are you going to use to capture this dance? Because you're going to do an analysis of the dance, because you cannot really trust your memory. Trust what you see and just be very sure. Because you can look at the dance, for example, if you go to a festival, you're looking at only just feet movement of a particular dance form. And you keep looking at about 50 feet that are performing a particular dance. Chances are that your memory cannot recollect every chalote color that was worn or every foot size or shape. And that will hinder your description or analysis of the movement. So your best chances are to what? To document, to video record, and then speak to the people so that they tell you the exact places or the kind of emphasis where the feet, for example, if you're looking at the feet, the emphasis of steps, the emphasis of music, all of these can be done very well through post-video analysis. So video documentation is really important, and then audio documentation. After recording it from one position, you must go and talk to the people, and then you must confirm whatever you see. So as you record it, it's not that you just record it and take your eyes off. You record it and put down questions so that when you meet the people who perform it and you ask the questions, you have very good questions to ask that can give you an insight into what you are looking at. So let's go on. Then recap dance ethnology. Now, chances are that most of you are going to look for the meaning of ethnology. I have simplified that for you. I copied it from Google, your number one search engine that you use a lot. I copied it for you. Now, Google says ethnology is the study of the characteristics of different peoples and the differences and relationship between them. So obviously, if we're looking at dance ethnology, then it becomes a characteristic study of a people through their movement systems. In this, obviously, we are going to look at the differences between these people. We are going to look at the relationships that movement form or create among themselves and among other groups outside of their ethnicity. Now, for example, if you are looking at, let's say, characteristic study of a people and their differences, one perfect example is if you look at the Akan is an umbrella term for Tree-speaking people and peoples, or like within the middle belt, a little south of Ghana. They are Akans because of the commonalities of characteristics, and they share common elements like dance, for example. So you can find Adwa Kiti and Fonton from in Achim, and you can find the same in Ashanti, and you can find the same in Equiapim. You can find the same central region, eastern region, western region. Now, the difference between them is that, you see, everybody has their own dialect. It is possible the people's interpretation of the dances are going to be different. So although it is the same Adwa or Kiti or Fonton from, each person is going to perform it peculiar to their environmental, let's say, evolution. They're going to perform it to their historical evolution. They're going to look at all these things, and these are all going to affect their dances. So you can't just stand somewhere and assume, or let's say, conclude that dances, the Kete dances from the whole of Akan ethnic group is the same. That would be dangerous. So ethnology allows you to do a characteristic study of all these elements. So one peculiar thing about us Ghanaians is like this perfect example that is given. Even within the traditional category, there are variations within the traditional category, like I just mentioned. So if you say Kete, and you're going to look at Kete from Kumasi, there's also Kete from Cape Coast. They may also be Kete from the Western region. So which one is the traditional one? Which one is more authentic than the other, if we are going into all that? Sorry, so how do we approach this? Through dance analysis. We're going to do to understand the characteristics and the demarcations of these dance forms. We're going to look at it from a dance analysis point of view. We are looking at that. We are looking at movement variations, movement characteristics, and all these things. We can look at that from the perspectives of, let's say, structural analysis. We can look at that from the perspectives of lab annotation. We can look at that from descriptive analysis. These are all elements of our approaches to looking at dance from an ethnological point of view. And then the most important thing is looking at the dancing, because there's a group of researchers who wrote about lab annotation, and they said that any dance research that does not take or concentrate on the dancing doesn't do well in giving a perfect realization or picture of what the dance is, or what the dance is to the people. Now, within the dancing, then I bring your mind back to the realization and concept theory as proposed by Baca and Carobles, because it's absolutely important to understand that what information you receive influences your realization, as we have discussed overly with examples in class. So if you are looking at dancing, the act of dancing in a particular dance research, then you must have all these two perspectives, take them into consideration. And then this can then direct your questions. So if you are observing others, this can still direct your questions in a different way. If you are observing yourself, this can also still direct your questions. Then we look at dance history. So another perspective of dance research is dance history. So we talk about dance from historical periods, and we have done that by delving into the Ghana Dance Ensemble. We kept it in Ghana basically because this is our home. This is our material. It will be very easy to understand our material first before we start going into others. And I mean, I say that because at the time before the virus had come, we were in the process of putting your groups, your demarcations on the door of my office, so that you would come and know your group members and start preparing towards presentations. But now people are jubilating and saying, oh, coronavirus, so we can't do presentations. Sister, brah, Zoom can make that available. In fact, you are going to still do the presentations on Zoom. Whatever we are going to do so that we get your presentations, it's going to happen. One of you can host a Zoom meeting and do the presentation, host it, and then we can judge it. Because right now, a lot is going to change with regards to exams, so you can't take anything for granted. And here, participation, individual participation, is going to be scrutinized very, very, very well. Yes. So if we look at dance from historical perspective, we are looking at the relevance of the performance art form of dance within the Ghanaian development or political development. We look at the Ghana Dance Ensemble's role in helping carve a kind of a unique identity for Ghanaians post-1963 up until now. And then we look at dance in its historical perspective. If we look at dance in its historical perspectives, then we ask the questions. These are some of the questions that can drive such research. So one question will be, how did the dance genre or form come about? So obviously, it is very difficult to trace the origins of traditional dances. But the origins of new traditional dances, that was championed by the Ghana Dance Ensemble, we can assume, although we don't have details of exactly when they were created, we can assume that from 1963, all new traditional dances and experimentation came from 1963. That is a given because it started with the ensemble. Even that, for example, in 1969, the Bawa dance from my research came to the Ghana Dance Ensemble and taught Bawa. So that is a fact. We can trace others like that. We can't really trace the traditional dances, the exact origins, because of most of them are steeped in mythologies, and you can't really put a date on mythologies. But we can authenticate them by their function to the society. So the next question becomes, who are the proponents or who are the performers of this dance form? Has it changed over the years? Has it disappeared? Is it disappearing? What are the effects of globalization on all these? What you can ask, what were the effects of, let's say, the coup d'etats in Ghana's political history on that? What happened after Nkrumah's overthrow? What happened after successive government came until democracy, Rawlings democracy, and post 1992, for example? I then ask what influenced their actions and how do they affect the present circumstances? Now, these are questions you must ask yourself if we are trying to do a historical analysis of dance forms you are studying. Yeah, so how do you compare? If we look at if we have looked at the historical element of the dancing, then we come to the the comparative element. So how do you compare? How do you compare dances? How do you compare them? Now, that depends on the question and who is asking the question and how the question is asked. So you ask yourself, are we comparing the same dance as performed by the same people over time? Are we performing, let's say, comparing the dance as performed by the same people the same time? Or are we comparing as performed by different people over different time frames, etc.? So if you are looking at a comparative analysis, of the one best place to look at it is from Performance Lab, where you can start deducing from, if you have been attending Performance Lab from level 100, there's a high possibility that you have seen people develop their dancing. So you can technically stand on one side and single one person out and say, well, when this person came to level 100 or 200, I saw this person performing at the Performance Lab. He or she lacked confidence, he or she didn't have the right whatever. But as time went on, the time the person got to level 300, performing level 200 and level 100 dances, the person did with some kind of expertise. I mean, this is one point of approaching this kind of comparative analysis. If you are looking at, for example, I took contemporary dance class to go and look at some videos of the ensemble performing in the 90s, and they watched Damba, for example. We watched Damba, and the arrangement and performance of Damba is very, like, I don't know how to put it. It's kind of there are a lot of elements that you don't see in Ghana Dance Ensemble Damba right now. I mean, that is down to a lot of things, including, most importantly, artistic directors, because every artistic director comes with his own style. So whatever they see, they can change it if they don't like it, or they can change it to suit a kind of particular performance. So these are all areas to look into. And if you are looking at a comparative analysis, what do you look out for? That comes down to the next one. You look out for the contextual element. These dances, if you're looking at traditional dances, they are performed in context. They have functions. If you're looking at neo-traditional dances, they are also performed in context, but not the same context that the traditional dances are. Because some amateur groups can perform suhu at weddings. Suhu is like a creation of the ensemble from the Ajuvu. It's a ritual element, so I don't see why they should perform rituals that worship a particular god at somebody's wedding, because most people don't really know, they don't care about it, they just let it go. And then you can look at the spatial element. You're looking at the arrangement and line direction. So if you are doing basing your comparison on any of the things I've listed up there, then you can take that into consideration. And then we look at the physiological element, that's the body part and movement texture. We're looking at dynamics, and we're looking at all these things. And we're looking at structure. How is this structured? You see many dances, for example, performed in circles, performed in line, performed in diagonals, performed in, I haven't seen yet any dance performed mid-air, except in Chinese movies. And I remember this Chinese movie I watched, it's called Frying Danger. I've been looking for it for a very long time. So this, by the way, if anybody has Frying Danger, let me know, yeah? Okay, so back, we have the temporal element. That is, we look at tempo, we look at accompaniment, props, costume. These are things that change over time, just as the movement also do. So you need to take all these things into consideration if you are doing a historical analysis, comparative analysis of any dance form. Can give you a lot to write about or talk about. So this is the end of the class. But in our next class, which is next week, or we may have to, I'm thinking maybe we may have to find, since I'll be recording videos, in order to make us catch up for all the 3 weeks we have lost, I may be able to do a lot of videos and post them online so that you can follow. But the disadvantage is you can't get students asking questions in real time, which is what I wanted to accomplish with the Zoom. But we'll keep trying it. I mean, this will always be plan B. So if it doesn't work, then we are going to find an alternative. But yeah, let me just go back quickly. I just remembered. Let's see. There's a video I found on Facebook. Somebody sent a video on Facebook on Jira, what we call Jira, and they call Jara and all that. And I wanted to show you something. So let me just quickly Uh, hmm. Yeah. If you just saw that, it's a group of indigenes performing the Jada dance. And if you look at the video, is not really clear, so forgive me for that. But if you look at how they are negotiating the space they are going to perform in, there's a whole lot of talking in there. The performers are in the discussion, the musicians are in the discussion, people are pointing hands, they are negotiating where they are going to perform. Although this is a traditional setting, the context of the performance may not. So it may be possible that they have been invited to come and perform. If you look closely at their dress, and you see many different styles. This is typically how performances are done in the traditional settings. What we look for in the uniformity and stuff we look for in class, this video clearly shows the opposite. So we're going to look at a little bit more and then continue. Oh, internet has Babylon me again. Well, let's just get back to the presentation. I'm going to hopefully send this link to you so that you can watch as well. If you looked at the video closely, if you see the kind of energy they are exhibiting, that's a very good point of departure to look at when you are talking about analysis, for example. So consider all these nuances in the performance, and then we are going to talk about it later. Yeah, so the next class, we're going to do academic referencing. So referencing in academic writing. And the University of Ghana's referencing style right now, it's American Psychological, so APA referencing style. There's a lot of information online. So what I'm going to do with this kind of presentation is going to teach you practically how it is done, how to quote things that we use in class and all that. And then in our next class, we are going to discuss group presentation possibilities using Zoom, YouTube, whatever. I have to still confirm with my colleagues who couldn't be online today. And then we're going to, yeah, make progress from there. So yeah, guys, this is the end of the class. It's not much, but I think I hope it has refreshed your memories well. If you have any questions, I think that the Sakai platform gives you an opportunity to pose questions. If not, you can bring to the WhatsApp discussion group. I have other classes that I'm teaching, so if you ask questions on there, and a lot of people are going to talk at the same time, or the messages are going to go up. It's going to be difficult to keep track. So I'm suggesting perhaps you can ask the questions directly from Sakai, or you can send me an email. And then when I do pick it up, I can bring it back on the page for discussion. So yes, thank you guys very much once again for your time. I hope this helps, and see you in our next class. And look out for announcement on Sakai and on the page. Yeah. Have a fantastic rest of week and stay safe. Don't go out. If something is calling you, somebody is calling you and say, "Oh, I miss you. I see you in my dreams. Come and visit me." In fact, use Psalm 35. The Bible says, "Contend with those who contend with me." That person wants to contend with your life. Finish them. Don't go anywhere. You are too young. Pray and let Masa say, "My hair is paining me. Come and do massage." Often bobo in fear war no. Or the ice block in fear. That is all massage. Don't be tempted with anything to go out, except when you're going to buy food. Now, even anybody, all the boys and girls who are taking numbers and doing themselves tie, you can't do that anymore. You start receiving messages on Facebook. "Oh, what's up? It's been a while." New strategy. Be safe. Don't listen to them. Just stay in your corner. Use the time as much as possible to get closer to your God. If you believe, use the time as much as possible to study, because you don't have a lot of time. If we look at level 400 people right now, all the choreographies they are doing, suppose this thing is going to go on for a while. How are they going to put up their choreographies? I mean, you can't really predict these things. So make the best of your time, the time you have available now. Okay. And then be responsible citizens once again. Yeah. So thank you very much. And then see you another time. Yeah. Cheers.